All right. Today I am honored that our speaker will be Dr. John Kilner, who is the professor emeritus of bioethics and contemporary culture. Dr. Kilner received his BA from Yale and earned his PhD from Harvard. In addition to in addition to numerous publications and research in Switzerland, Kenya, China, Africa, and the US, Dr. Kilner has been featured, in addition to Rotary, has been featured on CNN, NBC, CBS, NPR, New York Times, and more. I'm not going to spend our whole time talking about his credentials. Today, he will discuss how our ability to control our healthcare decisions can improve our mental health. This is sure to be an informative and very important discussion.
Thank you, Sharon, for that kind introduction. I'm particularly glad that you didn't use the strange tongue-twisty word that's entered the English language, ethicist, to
Oh,
describe
yes,
me.
yes.
One of my colleagues was recently introduced using that term, and he got up and corrected the moderator, which is not usually a good thing to do, but he got up and said, "Well, thank you for that introduction, but I have to correct you at one point. You introduced me as an anesthetist. I'm not an anesthetist, I'm an ethicist. An anesthetist is somebody that puts people to sleep," to which the moderator mumbled, "That's what I said, an anesthetist."
That's all, let it
Uh,
go.
well, today I can assure you we're not going to be going to sleep because we're addressing not only an issue that's central to the work of this task force, but also something that is just so important in the lives of people. And in particular, we're focusing on the notion that it's possible to actually, for every person, to create an advanced directive and something that can make a huge difference in people's mental well-being. Now, needless to say, an advanced directive is simply a document that anybody can produce that indicates, first of all, who you want to make decisions for you if you're no longer able to make them. It could be through an illness, could be through an injury. Any one of us, in fact, might have the need for that this day. I mean, these things happen without warning. And so you can have a document that identifies who will make the decisions. And also, you can indicate some important values and priorities and beliefs that you want to make sure will govern your decision making when you no longer are doing that. And boy, having that in place can be a source of great mental comfort and reassurance. I just want to begin by flagging several ways, several groups of people who are affected when we craft a document like this. And then I'm going to show you an easy way that we have available now to actually accomplish that. I would just flag three groups of people in particular who are have a lot at stake as far as this goes. One is the person, the patient, you. In fact, if you are the person, considering creating a document like this. The other is the family around the patient. So in that case, your family. And thirdly, then the health professionals that are involved in the care of your situation. So just to flag several important things to keep in mind. First of all, regarding you as the patient, there's a tremendous security and peace knowing that whom the person who is in the best position to understand and respect your values will be the person making the healthcare decisions for you. You won't be overtreated when you lose mental capacity to make those decisions. You won't be undertreated when you lose the mental capacity to make those decisions. And you can have the security of knowing now that when you give instructions that aggressive medical care and intervention should stop, your effective pain relief and management and other symptom relief and management won't be discontinued because you're able to spell out those kinds of priorities. You're not going to be unnecessarily removed from your home and hospitalized because you can give indications that provide direction for that. Your special wishes about things like burial and organ donation can all be put into place, and you can rest assured even now how that's going to play out. And you have the security to know that you can update these preferences at any point in time going forward. So the difference of having a document like this in place is huge for you, for anyone as an individual. But when you consider the family as well, this is just multiplied. I mean, because with a document like this in place, there is clarity regarding what kinds of treatments the patient normally would or wouldn't want, when they want certain kinds of treatments to stop. And most importantly, it becomes clear who will have the final say when family members disagree about treatment. Now, I can't tell you the number of times that I have encountered or heard about situations where there have just been terrible family disagreements and protracted disagreements and just the mental anguish that the entire family goes through in circumstances like this, all of which could have been relieved had it been clarified in advance. Okay, yeah, there'll be some disagreements, but who has the final say? Who has the responsibility to pull together all of the considerations? There becomes clarity regarding the special wishes the patient has about particular things like hospitalization or burial or organ donation. And there becomes for the family just a reduction in stress from the arguments that otherwise will continue on. And it's not just the reduction in stress, but there's a reduction in guilt for the family over whether the patient is receiving too much treatment or the patient's receiving not enough treatment. And it's not even during the experience of this decision making, but after the patient dies, there's a reduction of stress and guilt over the question about whether they were treated well. And what's so sad about this is that that kind of guilt and stress will last for a lifetime. I've seen that, and families have gone through this, and when it's all said and done, there's just such worry and guilt and uncertainty about whether they really cared for their loved one the way the loved one would have wanted to be cared for, and just so much could have been alleviated had there been that document in place. And I want to say that as big an impact as this can have on individuals and on their families, the healthcare professionals involved have a big stake in this as well, because with this document in place, they're going to be able to have clarity about how to do their jobs, in the situation, when to treat, when to not treat, knowing who to communicate with when there are family disagreements. And in fact, this means then that the healthcare professionals don't have to participate in all of those families' disagreements because they're not trying to figure out, well, I've got to figure out what every person who has a potential stakeholder here, might have to say. The patient has put in place and identified the person who is the point of communication for the healthcare professionals. And beyond all of that, of the particulars in the situation, the healthcare professionals become better able to direct limited, expensive resources to those who genuinely want them, as opposed to those who are willing to forego them. And that's a real benefit to them as well. So, with all of these things going on in terms of people's mental well being, to achieve all of that, each person needs to be able to have access to creating an advanced directive that is easily personalized, easily accessible, easily affordable, and private but shareable. And so what I want to flag for you is how a new resource that's become available fulfills all of those characteristics. It's easily personalized, meaning, as you will see shortly, it's a way that people can bring their values and beliefs and priorities, whatever they are, to bear on constructing this document. And what I've found is that although a lot of people don't have this document, I mean, it's interesting. Studies are showing that people about 85% of people will say, yeah, I know that every adult should have an advanced directive. but only like about 35% of people do actually have one. So many people don't have one, and a large percentage of the people that do, they have some sort of kind of general stock form that they have been given or exposed to in some way, shape, or form. And it is not well personalized and tailored to their relevant particular beliefs and values. So that's something that this has to offer, even to people who already have an advance directive. It's easily accessible because it's located at a particular website online, which I'm going to tell you about, and it is available 24/7. At any moment in time, you can go on and construct this advance directive. It's easily affordable because it's completely free. People like you and me involved in Rotary who want to serve and help people, they put up all the funding for all the graphic design and the computer programming that's involved in this. So the user comes on to the site, no cost. In fact, there aren't even any annoying commercials to have to listen to or to wade through. Um, and then finally, it's completely private. So as you will see, you're going to be going through an experience and making choices. And at the end of this, at the end of your pathway, you will have designed your advanced directive. Um, you will never enter any personal information. You won't enter any information, phone numbers, names, email addresses. I mean, no personal information. So when you come to the end then and you've constructed your advanced directive, you can download it to your computer, you can print it off, whatever you want to do with it. But when you close the website, it's gone. I mean, every choice that you've made, anything that you have done on the site is gone. You can't even access it because, again, it's a completely private tool. So you can save the results and share them or use them for any purpose you want to. So what I want to do is give you kind of a taste of this resource, and I'm going to do that by sharing my screen here. I would suggest, I don't know what view you're on for this program right now, but I would suggest that, if you could go to the upper right-hand corner of your screen and change it to the speaker view or the full screen view rather than the gallery view that shows all the various people. That's going to be helpful because you're going to be able to see the experience here. I'm going to go down and click on sharing the screen, and we are going to see if we can find the window here, which was here, but does not seem to be here at the moment. So we're going to have to just go and open another window. Sorry about that. Before we signed on, we opened up the site. So let's go ahead and see if we can get that going here. Okay. Well, right. Well,
So your screen is being shared right now, John.
right.
If you see there's three different tabs, you have your email open, a Zoom tab, and you also have MedicalDecisions.info. So maybe if you click on that tab, it would show up.
Yes, I am trying to. Yeah, the funny thing is, I'm not seeing. Let's try it again. Share the screen. That's precisely what I'm not seeing is the medicaldecisions.info. Isn't that curious? Hmm. Seeing the
I think you
Zoom.
have to be in your internet window. you have to have that window open. In your internet window, we're seeing the Zoom window.
Okay, here's the Zoom window.
But click the tab for medical decisions info. The third one.
The third one.
Okay, yeah. Probably why I'm not seeing it is because there's a bar overlying it saying, talking about the transcribing of the
There we
program.
go. There we go. And we got it.
Okay. Can everybody see that now?
There's always lots of help on these calls.
Yes. Can you see it now? The medical decisions, finishing life well
Yes.
Yes, yes.
site. Okay, great. And you might even want to move. I'm going to move the visuals of everybody on the right edge. I'm going to move them off to the side a little bit and everything clear as much of the screen as possible. Okay, so basically, at any point in time, if you come on to this site and medical decisions, it's the address is simply we're talking about medical decisions, and we're talking about information related to those medical decisions that we're wanting to preserve. So the site name's easy to remember. It's MedicalDecisions.info. You can go there at any point in time, and this is what you will see. Now, when you come to the home page here, as you'll see, this site can be used for either of two different purposes. It can be used to make a current medical decision, and that it'll help you connect your beliefs and values to a specific major medical decision that you're having to make now, and give you a document that you can then review with your physician that flags how your particular priorities connect to the options that are before you. Or you can use this to create an advanced directive, and that's exactly what we're talking about today. So you can see in the box in the center of the screen, in the lower right-hand corner there, advanced directive. I'm just going to click on it. You can click on it or touch it if you have a touch screen, which I do here. And you will get a single page that's just going to tell you what is here. As it says, what you're going to receive here in using this is an advanced directive document with an instruction page tailored to your own preferences to guide your medical care when you're no longer able to guide it. There's some information about the privacy and that sort of thing. Let's go in the lower left-hand corner of that central box says read instructions, and there's just a single simple page that's going to tell you what this is all about. Okay, I'll just read it to you just in case you can't read it well. Due to injury or illness, you know that sooner or later you'll likely
Don, we're
lose
not
your
seeing
ability.
your screen right now.
Oh, okay.
I
Yep.
see it just fine.
I see it also. I can see it very
But
well.
it's my
Yes,
fault.
it's-
Sorry.
Okay.
Never mind.
No problem.
It's visible.
So I'll just read you the instructions page, and hopefully you can get on if you can't see. Due to injury or illness, you know that sooner or later you'll likely lose your ability to make medical decisions for yourself. You probably want to be the one who decides now who gets to make those decisions for you, and there are some things you may want to say about how those decisions are made. A lot of considerations are involved, and this website will help you to work through them. Working through them is like walking through a park while thinking through your decisions. At many points, the path you're on branches into 2 or 3 paths, and you'll decide which to take. This resource will name those paths for you so that you can walk down the path that reflects your values and beliefs. Okay, and then there's just that lower right-hand corner, enter the park. So we'll just click on that, and in we will go to the first scene. Now, every scene that we pass in our walk through the park, when we enter the scene, there'll be a signpost where the pathway branches that says click here. So that's exactly what we're going to do. When we see that click here sign, we're going to click there. And that's going to name the 2 pathways going to the left and the right. Now, you can see the one going to the left here says, go this way if you think you must always extend life, even by the slightest amount, even when doing so will greatly increase suffering. And the pathway to the right says, no, that's not my view. Now, what this is getting at is that for a number of people who respect life, want to protect life. Their sense is, well, if there's anything that can be done that's going to enable life to continue any further at all, I mean, like even an hour, we must do it. They feel kind of a moral obligation to continue life, even if that's going to produce a great amount of added suffering. Now, there are only a few places in this entire resource where, by going a particular direction, people are heading out in a direction that the large majority of people would not go. Now, that's okay. This is designed to allow you to go wherever your values and priorities take you, which is fine. But the only concern here would be, have people really understood what this question is asking, what it's all about? And so what's going to happen in those few cases, those few instances, is that people are going to be offered a short explanatory video if they're interested in seeing it. So, for example, if you click to go left here, always extend life, even the smallest amount, even with any amount of added suffering, we're going to go down the pathway and into the next scene. And when we click on the signpost, it's going to say, left choice here, go this way, go left. If you wonder why so many people disagree with your choice to extend life at all costs. Now you'll see, you can go right instead. It says, go right if you don't care why so many people disagree with your choice to extend life at all costs. So again, if that's your view and you're sure you understand the question, you click right and you'll just carry on your pathway on to the next set of decisions. So it's not a problem, but this is just for people's benefit, just in case they haven't really understood the question. So if you were to click on the left pathway to go down this direction, you're going to move into a new scene here where you're going to be offered a short video, which should be showing there. Now, I'm not going to, the big arrow in the center, which you just touch, and you're going to get a several-minute explanation of what this choice is all about. And then, as you can see in the upper right-hand corner of the video there, you can just close it when you're done with it and click and carry on. Now, you're going to notice these are the same two choices you started out with before the video. And that's because if you still want to go left, even after watching the video, it's like, okay, yeah, my sense, what my value is here is I do want to always extend life no matter what, to whatever degree, then you can carry on. So no harm done. You just have gotten a clear sense of what that choice is about, and off you go. But perhaps you've reviewed that and it's like, oh, okay, now I understand what it's getting at. And yes, I think I would want a little more nuanced assessment of how much benefit is there and how great is the burden of going forward, so I can make a judgment call about that rather than automatically continue forward. So, if that's the case, if that's where they end up, you're going to head now down the same pathway you would have if you'd made that choice originally. And off we will go into the next question. Now, because of time, there are various choices that people are going to make along the way, and we don't have time, of course, to go through all of them. So I'll give you a few examples so that we can make our way to the end and see where you end up with this. If when you enter into a new scene, it would be helpful to put the decision into context to give you a better sense of what it's about. You're going to see something at the bottom of the page. Like here, it's going to talk about, imagine you become permanently unconscious and you can neither communicate with people any longer, et cetera, and you're going to be attached to life-sustaining equipment that could continue for years. Is that something that you want? Or would you not want that if it became, a permanent condition? So when you click on that, you're going to have a choice to whether you would want to continue on as long as they can keep you alive, even though it would be in a state of permanent unconsciousness, or do you want to carry forward? So if you were to carry forward by saying, no, I wouldn't want, if things were that bad and I'd permanently lost conscious contact with this world, I wouldn't want to continue on. Then you're going to get this little more nuanced question where, it's going to say, well, imagine yourself experiencing enough mental loss that you can no longer make sound medical decisions. Okay, so that's not necessarily a severe mental dementia, but it's going to be a significant constraining of your mental capacity. So there needs to be a little more nuanced response here, because some people are going to say, no, I mean, just because I have mental impairment, even substantial, I would always want treatment to continue. Don't withhold it or withdraw it. Other people would say, yeah, I'll tell you, if I no longer am able to be in charge of the decisions about my life, then stop sustaining me. We're beyond the pale of when I want to continue going on. But the third one, they're right there, is a more nuanced judgment. They're going to say, well, I'm going to need to assess the situation. It depends on how far gone my situation is. It says I would only want life-sustaining treatment to be withheld or withdrawn if the person making the medical decisions for me judges that I can no longer fulfill any of my main purposes for living. And so the document that we're creating here is going to be able to specify, is going to be able to guide the decision maker to be able to assess when things have gotten so bad, perhaps the dementia has gotten so severe that the person has lost the capacity to live as they define live. That's just going to differ from person to person. So we will make a choice there and continue on. And the next decision that's going to be coming up here, we won't go into it in any detail, but this has to do with, okay, people would want to be able to have access to food and water if they can take it, if they can swallow it. That's just a matter of continuing to exist as a human being. But how about if they can't swallow it anymore? And they can only take it in as a medical treatment. In other words, through a inserted tube or needles or some sort of combination of that. Is that something that they would always want or would never want, or would they want it subject to the same sort of assessment that all medical treatments are subject to? Would it be more beneficial than burdensome? So people are going to make a choice about that. And so there have been a series of choices that people will have made going through the resource. And at some point then, they're going to arrive at this screen. It says, you have designed your advanced directive. Select download here, and you can, I'm just going to click on download so you can see what you're going to get, which you can print or you can save to your computer. There's a few things you're going to fill in. You have to put your name on it because, again, there's no personal information being stored on the site here. You'll put your name, you'll identify the person who's going to be the decision maker, et cetera. But the bulk of the content of the advanced directive is here. In fact, you're going to see as we go down the front page here, there are a number of bulleted items coming down here. And what these all reflect are choices, decisions that you've made as you've moved through the resource. And so the advanced directive that you're getting here is reflecting all of the priorities that you've identified. There's this page, there's some other, signature of witnesses page. We have to make it legal. But your entire advanced directive is just going to be 2 pages, meaning you can print it on 2 sides of a single piece of paper. So you've got an advanced directive that's very convenient, but contains all the information that you're wanting to convey. There's a 3rd page, which is just a separate page you can print or not, which is just very practical instructions about how to use the advanced directive, where to put it, who should have access to it, that sort of thing. So that is the entire resource and what it looks like. So I just want to go back to the screen now and any moments we have or not. I'm happy to take questions, but wanted to make sure you had a taste, a feel for what the resource is all about. And I guess you can see behind me the address if you were wanting it and didn't note it down, MedicalDecisions.info. So, any questions?
So, John, hi, my name's Terry with the
Yes,
Barrington
hi.
Rotary Club. Hi, and I already put this in the chat, but once you download it, then can you update it if you like you wanted to change something or add so you could modify it.
Great question. Yeah. So as you can see here, you'll see when you actually pull your advanced directive on the screen. Once you print it out, the actual content of it, there are certain fields you can fill in, like your name or the person who's going to be your agent, your decision maker, or the backup person. Those are fields that you can type into and change like electronically on the screen. So when you download that, save it to your computer, you can change all of those sorts of things. But in terms of the content of the document itself, reflecting the priorities that you have indicated, your only options are this. Any legal document like this, you can actually cross off anything, and you can even handwrite on that document, like if you're changing words or crossing off a phrase or adding another phrase. You can do that right in the document, even by hand, and then initial it. And that is a legal change. If you're doing much of substance, though, in terms of changing your views, it certainly would be cleaner just to go back on the site. And you're very familiar with the site, so you can just go through pretty quickly and make your choices and like, oh, but this pathway I wanted to change. And so you can just take a different pathway, make it to the end, and then you've got a clean copy of, reflecting your latest preferences. So you can do it either way.
Thank you.
Sure.
So another question is, are these documents valid in any state?
Okay, great question. Yeah, actually, the requirements do vary state by state to a certain degree, even though there are certain core requirements that are common, like they may require one witness or two witnesses. I mean, just so you know, these do not require notarization or any participation of a legal professional, but they do need to have witnesses, which you want people who are not involved in your health care, where there could be any conflicts of interest or involvement. But anyway, so the form has been designed to be comprehensive so that it includes that which would vary from state to state. So, some will say one witness, some will say two witnesses. So this form involves two witnesses. It has you completing it out. So that way you will meet the requirements of the state. And there are a few other requirements that will vary a little bit from state to state. So this is set up in a way so that if you complete this form, it meets the requirements of the broadest possible scenarios as possible. However, in the instructions page that I noted, that third page that you get access to, it gives you, it identifies a website that you can go onto and explains, where to click on the site to take a look at your state. So you can just go on the site, click on that, go to your state, and it'll say, okay, there are these three requirements. You got to have two witnesses, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can confirm if you want to that in your particular state, okay, yeah, I can see how this form meets all of those requirements. And it should, but again, we can't guarantee what states are going to do at any point in the future. So I think if it were me, I probably would want to take a look. Other people, aren't that concerned to do the research. And so it's been designed for people to not have to verify it. So that's the way that works. Yeah.
I have I have a short question.
Yes.
John, I did see your presentation at I neglected to say, at the Wilmette Rotary Club meeting. It seemed, and it could have just been there were distractions in the room,
Sure.
that there were more decisions, how many click-throughs are there? How many forks in the road
Right.
are there?
It depends upon which pathways you take, quite frankly.
I see.
So, obviously we skimmed through several that we didn't talk about in terms of
Got it.
this set of pathways, and I was pretty much just for demonstration purposes,
Mhm.
clicking one direction or the other. So it would be a function of that. Typically it's only going to require about 8 to 10 click-throughs. So it's designed to not be some hugely laborious kind of thing, but each one of the click-throughs is an individual choice that actually in some cases will interface with, it's interconnected with one or two of the other choices. So the way your form is going to read, some of the choices you make will not only show up explicitly, like as one of those bullet points, but it's going to influence some of the
Mhm.
envelope language as well, because you're going to be indicating, okay, yeah, you have that sort of sensitivity, so we're going to want to reflect it as well. So, yeah, trying to strike the balance between not making it something that's going to take, half a day to do to go through, because each of these choices, of course, when people encounter them, these are not necessarily matters that people have thought through before. So you're going to be asked a question, you're like, I'm going to have to ponder that a little bit. Or what we found is we've used it in families, and this has been great. Like our family, we had the most meaningful family discussion and interaction we've ever had. I mean, ever, because we decided to sit down and like bring up each issue as we went down, each one that came up, and talk about it. And so the rest of the family learned about my priorities. I learned about the priorities and values of the rest of the family. And not only do we each end up with a document, but we ended up with so much better understanding. In fact, if somebody said something, we're like, what? You think what? Let's talk about that. And wow. And that's almost more helpful than the document itself. I mean, you gotta have the document because things change over time, but wow, getting that kind of understanding around these issues has given us as a family such peace of mind. Just knowing that there's that kind of understanding out there.
John Mulhern, I'm a retired attorney and did a lot of
Yes,
work. There's excellent presentation, but I
sure.
will tell you this, the state of Illinois has a standard form, call it power of attorney for healthcare, which contains not as quite as detailed in description, but it contains those
Right.
choices. And I would say for the last 30 years of my practice, the form was available. We didn't, and it was part of our estate plan.
Right.
I would say in all the years I did these, and I did a number of them, I never had a patient select to have unlimited medical care. Most people choose the opposite. The other thing I'll just comment on, somebody asked about Illinois law or whatever. If you're a resident of Illinois and you have one witness, it's legal. And another state would accept it as long as you're a resident of Illinois. So if we've had situations where people have been in Arizona and someone was in the hospital and we have to email a power of attorney for healthcare to that. So
Right.
we fortunately with electronic copying now we can do it. So
Right.
so that
Right.
you don't have to worry if it's two. But if you do, our advice always was if you move to Arizona or Florida, you know, you really ought to consult with legal counsel down there.
Right. And exactly. And that's one of the reasons why it is helpful to, like, given the variation, to talk about that particular between 1 and 2 witnesses. It just gives you that kind of mobility, because if you move right from a state with 1 witness like Illinois to another state requires 2 witnesses, you're living there and your form isn't legal, but you don't really realize that. Just more helpful to have a form that is already more broadly legal. But again, right, exactly. Unless you moved, that particular would not change.
The
As
only
far
other
as the
thing I'll add
case.
is if you,
Yeah.
your healthcare provider should have a copy of this. And
Yes.
in most instances, when you're going to have any kind of surgical procedure, they want one, so that.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, and that's
So-
the kind of particular that's in the attached page at the end, like who is it that should have a copy of this and how should you handle it and that sort of thing. But that's a very good point and very important. I mean, what good is it if the people who are involved in your care don't know? And just this is maybe restating the obvious, but you know, the person you identify as your agent, and then you also want to have a backup agent or 2. You know, what good is it if they're named and they don't know anything about your wishes? Well, they'll be helped by this document to a certain degree. So that's the reason why we have the written document and put some of the kind of core values in the document. But for them to really do a good job, you're going to want to have at least one conversation with them about your values and priorities, because they're the person that are going to have to act on them.
Well, John, Dr. Kilmer, I want to thank you very much for the information that you've provided today. Your comment about the best family conversation was when you went through those questions. I think that really is the reason we have this mental health series, to improve our mental health by addressing questions and discussions that are not always easy, but that will make us more at ease with our life decisions.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Sure.
Jillian will post this on the district website, and we hope to see everyone on the call next month, the first Monday of the month, for the next of our series of Mental Health Mondays. The same Zoom link, and we'll be putting the information out shortly. But thank you very much for everyone to attend, and thank you especially John and Sharon.
Happy to be with you. Thanks.
Thank you, John.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good.